I wrote this book for people like me, those who have found themselves at one point or another, whose self-worth is wavering depending on what is going on in your life. If you found that when you go through things like breakups, then your value of self kinda meanders, or if you're going through issues with family, or you're going through financial issues, I have been in that place. So I wrote a book about a girl whose value of self seems to come from her knowledge of her earthly father. And can't we all relate to this? Can't we all relate to wanting to be loved and attaching our value to how people love us or leave us? So I'm very passionate about mental health and everything that the complexities around mental health. And self-worth is one of the factors that affect one's mental health. So when you find that you have low self-worth, you tend to stay in hurtful relationship. You tend to not believe it when people speak good things about you. Taking compliments is really an uphill task. You tend to be really hard on yourself. You tend to define yourself through the mistakes that you make more than focusing on the good things. And it can get really bad and it can spiral into depression and such things. And so I have endeavored through the things that I write to sort of navigate that complex word through storytelling in a way that if you read this story and relate to it, then you can, in your own way, find how to navigate through your life. Because the resounding message that I pass across, and that is why I call my books Christian fiction, because the outlying message is Christ-like. It is followership of Christ. Because why? Because that is not correct English. Because I believe that it is the creator of a thing that gives it value. And our creator is God. And it is only from him that we can have a solid sense of self-worth, one that doesn't change, one that doesn't waver. So that is essentially why I wrote this book. The cab slowed to a stop in the almost full parking lot. How much will that be? Tabitha queried the cab driver. 700, madam, he responded. Tabitha fished out a 1,000-shilling note and handed it to him. Wa? Ntatoa hii change wapi sahi? The middle-aged man complained. It was something of a culture amongst public service vehicle drivers and conductors to complain when their clients did not give them exact amounts. It beat Tabitha's logic, since she figured it was their job description to handle the payment process. This morning, however, she was too focused on what lay ahead to indulge in trivialities. Acha nitafute change, the driver surrendered. Tabitha was grateful for the time to compose herself. She looked out the window to the people rushing into the 7-story office complex. Many were dressed in formal business attire. A little part of her started to question her decision to dress bolder than she should have. She shoved the thought back in her head. This was definitely not the time to start doubting her decisions. She had been here several times before, so the place felt familiar to her. She knew that to succeed today, she needed all her wits about her. The cab was beginning to feel a little stuffy, so she stepped out to wait for her change outside. The air outside was cold and fresh. It was 5 minutes past 7 in the morning. She was an hour early for her interview, just as she had planned. She had been able to make an accurate estimate from the times she had been here before. Lord, I'm not even sure what I'm doing is right, she prayed. My heart yearns for answers. Please help me to find them so I can finally understand. Just then, the cab driver returned from his quest. Thank you, she told the cab driver as he handed her 300 shillings. She walked briskly to the lifts. Her destination was the topmost floor, but she hit the fourth floor button once she got into the lift. She had to freshen up first. She looked at her image in the mirror. The makeup she had worn as she had left her house was still intact. She plucked out her lipstick. It would not hurt to do a final touch-up. She had chosen a brown matte color to go with her rich dark skin tone and her attire of choice. You can do this, she pepped herself up. Taking a deep, calming breath, she walked out. Hmm, yeah. So the crooked crown essentially means low self-worth. The crown is supposed to be straight, but in this sense it is crooked, which means a warped sense of self-worth or low self-worth. So that's a good question. I'm trying to see how to tell you about the book without giving so much away. So it is the story of a young girl called Tabitha. She has freshly graduated from school. And as we all know, this is a time where you're trying to find your sense of worth in terms of you want to be financially independent, you want to do life your own way now that you're out of a system, out of school. You're trying to find your footsteps into adulting. And for many people, it is a time where seriously mental health becomes an issue because now you are growing wings from maybe your parents that were supporting you. There is expectations of you. There is the constant asking of have you got a job yet? I found that to be quite a tough time. So this story is about Tabitha who has freshly graduated from school and who sets out not on the path that everyone else is setting out or on to look for employment, but she sets out to look for her father. And it is a very interesting story, I promise you, one that you'll not get bored. It is also quite short. I like to write pieces that you can enjoy in a sitting or two. So she set out to find her father because she believes that her sense of self-worth will come from finding him and probably understanding why it is that he was never in her life and maybe restoring that relationship. But in her quest, she finds so much more. So I'll leave it at that. If you want to know more, you can get the book from me. You can call 0755 955 249, or you can get it on Amazon Kindle as an ebook. I only sell my books for my fictional books for around 300 shillings. So this one goes for 300 shillings. And the reason I do this is because I'm trying to promote the reading culture. I believe that it is something that we need to do as society to encourage people to read, and especially texts that will help them either find themselves or find knowledge or entertain in a way that is productive. So I only 300 shillings, you can get your copy, a signed copy at that. I think gets its value from its creator. So the only way around getting a high self-worth is relating with your creator, knowing why did he make me the way he made me? Why did he give me the talents that he gave me? Why did he craft me this way and not that way? How am I supposed to live out my life in a way that is pleasing to him? How am I supposed to use my strengths, and in my weaknesses, can I lean on him and then trust him to help me to get the best out of myself. So I believe that having a relationship with Christ is the first step in building a sense of self-worth. After you do that, then after you get saved, that is, then you fellowship with like-minded people. Why? Because you need someone to light your candle when yours goes off, and life can slap the living daylights out of you. Sometimes we go through so much and we have no one to hold our hand, so you can't be that solo Christian trying to walk on your own, because life will happen and you will need people to walk with you, and you will need people who have the same beliefs, who do not pull you back in your faith when you're down. So you need, first of all, to build a relationship with Christ. 2, attach yourself to a Bible-believing church. 3, fellowship with like-minded people who share in your faith, who can hold you up when you're down. We are social beings. We can't do it alone. Then there's also building yourself through consuming content that is uplifting, whether it be movies or music or books. I find that those things help me in determining my self-worth. I particularly love watching videos from women who are trying to be like Christ in different arenas in life. I find it very uplifting. I also like to read books around faith and books that motivate me to be a better person. So that is what I would say. But I will also say that I have a lot more in my upcoming book, A Warrior's Mind, that is a Christian guide to mental health issues. I have been writing this book for the last 3 years, and it's almost out. So I'm very excited about that, and at least it will be something that can build up on what I have just said. It is a lot of resource in one place. So look out also for that. I will also add that getting help is a very, very, very key thing in building self-worth. Some conditions like depression keep you in a state where you feel very low about everything, including your own self, and it becomes a cycle of feeling low self-worth leading to depression, and depression leading to low self-worth. So for some of these mental health issues, you really have to get help and get the right help. And it might call for therapy or getting medication, and there's no shame in that. So that is one other thing I think you can do to improve your self-worth. If it is something that is repetitive, that you can't seem to get from it through any other means, it is always good to seek help from professionally trained counselors. There are many churches these days that are embracing counseling in the church setup, so that is something you can do. Reach out. My parting shot is from 1 Peter 2:9. But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the promises of him who has called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. 1 Peter 2:9. Remember this and fix your crown and fix the crowns of those people around you. Cheers.